Welcome to the 11th episode of What Beats Rock, where I'm going to be starting by basically doing what I did in episode 1. I think after grass it was ice. Right now it was flying. Then electric. Then ground. Then ice. Then rock type Pokemon. Then after rock type Pokemon, that's the episode ended and accidentally exited out. So I'm going to use pickaxe just several entries later. And then a pickaxe would lose to melt, which would lose to freeze because that undoes the melting. And what beats freeze? Heat. What beats heat? Cold. Cold negates heat. What beats cold? I've used fire. Warmth. Which would lose to a heat wave because it's just not a heat wave. No. There we go. Paper. What beats paper? Let's go with... I know I've done this before. Gave them 10 episodes. Went back and gave the 9 episodes. I just gave episode 8 when I made it. Went back and gave them titles. No, I think this episode 8 was rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Instead of going with out of bullets, I'm going to jam again. Go. Paper. Big paper thing. I want to see if this works. I know it won't, but it'd be funny. Oh, I've got a good one. Origami. And what beats origami? You know what you can't origami? Stone. Sheet of paper. What beats sheet of paper? Now we get to scissors, slightly late, which would probably lose. I know hammer's one of the options. I'm using hammer. What beats hammer? Sledge hammer, which would lose to a jackhammer, which would lose to fire, which would lose to drop, which would lose to a trampoline if you go by the other meaning of drop, which would I use scissors, a saw, which would lose to a chainsaw. You know what you can't destroy with a chainsaw? Brick. Really? Paper. Scissors. Snap. Rice Krispies. Milk. Paper. Document. Declaration of Independence. Declaration of Independence. That beats a document. What beats the Declaration of Independence? The Declaration of Dependence. Rock. I'm not going to go with paper because that would be boring. I'm going to go with sheet. I'm not going to go with scissors because that would be boring. Instead, I'm going to go with nail trimmers, which I'm pretty sure aren't they just fancy scissors thing? Right, what beats nail trimmers? Finger. Right now, that would be bad. What beats rock? Paper. Poke. Okay. Paper. Punch. What beats punch? A boxer. A wrestler. A sumo wrestler. And what beats a sumo wrestler? Diabetes. Health. No. Nurse. Doctor. Right. Beats rock. Paper. Rip. Gravestone. What beats a gravestone? A hammer. A hammer isn't going to be able to hammer through steel particularly easily. Oh yeah, blacksmiths. Paper. Right. Paper loses to book. Book loses to dictionary. Paper. No. What? I am just going to jump straight to No, I'm not going to go to teacher. Pupil. Which, of course, loses to the iris. The retina. The full eye. Okay, paper. As always. A cushion. No. Lemonade. What beats lemonade? Lemon. That's a lemon. Not gonna do paper. Rock loses to a robot. Right. What beats a robot? Unplug. What beats unplug? Wireless. Poor internet. Okay, Rock loses to the inevitable end of everything when the heat death of the universe happens. I might have to cut off a title here, like we can't 100% prove it'll happen. We can't prove it will happen. Science. Right, what beats science? What would beat science? Boredom. Sleep. Can't be bored if you're asleep. What beats sleep? Waking up beats sleep. No. Insomnia. Yeah. Incurable heart disease. Jumping back to last episode, which means that we can do non-fatal again as well. Or instead of non-fatal, I'm gonna go poison. Assassin. They can use poison. What beats assassin? Law. What beats law? Corruption. What beats corruption? I'm not going to do Sweden this time. I'm going to do Finland. They're both very uncorrupt. What beats Finland? Cold. It's a very cold place. What beats cold? Heat. Cold negates heat, but heat could also negate cold. What beats heat? A blizzard. What beats a blizzard? A tornado. Hurricane. So neither. Well, last episode you told me that a tornado didn't beat a hurricane. Right, rock. Would a trowel do it? A spade. A shovel. A drill. A jackhammer. Brake. Now what beats brake? A joiner. But that would be beaten by a carpenter. Because carpenters are better. Right, rock. Alex. Okay then. Steve. What beats Steve? Office. What beats office? Quitting. What beats quitting? Slavery. paper. So yeah, let's jump back on the atom thing. Right, atom would lose. I'm going for shorter with it, which would lose to a microscope, which would lose to a punch, which would lose to a brick, which would lose to cement, which would lose to concrete, which would lose to a fuse bomb, which would lose to a grenade, which would lose to a napalm bomb, which would lose to... No, I'm not going to put America. A missile. A homing missile. Nuke. The Geneva Conventions. It's 1930. It's for living buff. No, I'm not gonna. Forgetting. If everyone forget. Okay. What beats rock? The Geneva Conventions. Beats the Geneva Conventions. Would a war crime? Would that work? Yeah. What would actually beat the Geneva Conventions? Paper. Not slowly work our way up countries. Vatican City, small. So you know what's slightly bigger? Monaco. Okay. Now start with Monaco, then go to San Marino. Okay. Paper. Scissors. Which would lose? A butter knife. Ow. Paper. What's scissors? Knife. Cleaver. Machete. Okay then. Rock, paper, scissors, knife, cleaver, sword, lance, axe, shield, spear, the spear goes right over paper. I'm not going to go to scissors. I am going to go to scissors actually, which would lose to fabric. Scissors. Then we're going knife. Swiss Army knife. A cleaver. That's going to be more effective. But it's not as effective as a sword. Which isn't as effective as a lance. which isn't as effective as a spear. Paper. A paper would lose to a fish, which would lose to a spear, which would lose to refraction. It's harder to spear fish. Probably use refraction, a mirror. Probably use a mirror. Punch. Right, what is a punch? Brick. Let's work our way up again here. Cement. Concrete. Fuse bomb. Grenade. Napalm launcher. No, not napalm launcher. Napalm bomb. Missile. Guided missile. Which leads to a nuke. Geneva Conventions. An updated version. Updating the conventions would make them better. I don't think much of anything can beat the Geneva Conventions, so I'm not going to do that anymore. Rock. Would lose. 2. That's the end of this video. Bye.